sounds personal to me.
So we're just continuing like something very light. You know what I mean? We already did the rap versus hip hop whole like episodes I was doing of that. Now we're talking about my personal favorites. I don't know how long I could keep this up for because we already did the personal favorite rappers, and then now we've got the like personal favorite songs of all time. So I'm talking about like from any genre. See which one does better on the first 24 hours because I know that the one where I did the rappers got like 308 views. Let's hope we can get like to the top five, get this like 1.5K views, bro. Like that's why that intro was like that for 30 seconds. You know what I mean? We out here making business moves. Alright. So you already know how Fleetwood Mac already do. You know what I mean? Like how they already make their songs. It's always got to be some type of psychological, poetic. You know what I mean? Stevie Wonder. My fault. Stevie Nicks came out as a witch. You know what I mean? She's saying like she's one of the eighth wonders, stuff like this. But I feel like, for me personally, as a hip hop and R&B head, Dreams is one of the hardest songs I'll ever hear in my life, bro. Cause you got like the very cool, calm, collected type of chords, very R&B in that sense. With I assumed going from like minor chords to major chords, but I don't know. I didn't do my research on that half. That's just based off what they feel like. You do have these like lead guitars that sound Hawaiian-esque with the reverb, country as well because she's probably Southern from the accent, unless she comes from somewhere fictional. I mean, just like these slide guitars, and it feels like it's more the ones where you'd put the metal ring around your finger and then go up and down the scale. That created this just like hard solo. Of course, the lyrics sounds in the same sense that as Big Pun when he was doing Punish Me. Like his perspective, but like then in the woman's voice, in a sense, I don't know how to explain that, but it's like very pimp to me, you know what I mean? And the harmonies as well, in the pre-chorus, where she'll have the second layer, like the second dub, hit on every like beginning of the measure. So yeah, it's well written, well produced, you know what I mean? The instruments on there is just like very nice. Cool, calm, collected, as I said. Not trying to do too much, but not trying to do too less. Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, number 22. For me personally, at number 21, we got Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey. You know what I mean? Jim Carrey's cousin. Stuff like this. The Carey's like it's like a nostalgic song for a song that released before I was even born. But I actually had this at number 22, but what I realized about the song for me personally, remember the word personally, type it down in the comments personally, because y'all got mad in the last video talking about Tyler the Creator isn't the best rapper of all time, forgetting what the keyword in that list was, personally. But what I realized about Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey, the way I favor it over A Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, it's to do with the singing. In the sense that like we get syllable play, the way that I would hear the Migos doing it, which you'll use words like indefinitely, you know what I mean, stuff like this. But you'll have like a cadence to it that adds rhythm to her melody, you know, rhythm and blues, R&B. The opening guitar is a great intro. I know that it switches to the keys as well, because I got a good ear, you know what I mean. Me personally, I got a good ear. And it does that just so that it can let the lyrics breathe, you know what I mean? The words breathe. So you can hear stuff like inevitably, the way that I would hit on the drums. Inevitably, indefinitely, you know what I mean? The scatting, in the sense where it's like do-do-do, down. It's probably like a very hard earworm to get out of your head. Like a Pringle, once you pop, you can't stop, stuff like this. Chorus amazing too. It does two normal choruses, like 8-bar choruses, and then like on that third one it's an extended chorus going for 16 bars, because obviously it was definitely made for the radio, so this will get more requests just off of the chorus alone. The replay value is obviously high if I'm putting it over Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, you know what I mean? But that's just me personally, and I promise you that, just like Top 20, promise you that by Future. You know, this is it's a weird It's a weird song to have in your top 22. And especially it's weird to have this song as your favorite Future song. Because it seemed like an album cut. Like one that you could just easily pass over. But what got me into this song as heavy as I'm into it now is like when I had to listen to music off of SoundCloud for the mere fact that it was free. You know what I mean? Now I got Apple Music. I'll get into that later. Not as expensive, but it's a reason for another song. I promise you that. For me personally. So for Future, it's kind of like you got like this trap soul song that's done with trap production by a trap artist. Just in an R&B style, which obviously is trap soul. And he'll have like these indecisive bars where it'll go from no to no again, to no and a bit of yes, to an all yes. But do it so passionately because I feel with Future he doesn't actually write his songs. He just does it off the top of his head. Like I've seen a lot of rappers in general, especially like mainstream rappers, that focus primarily on hip hop more than they'll focus on rhythm and poetry. They'll like to always do like the freestyle from the top of the head. They'll just go punching. They won't just do like one takes, but they'll punch in. It has the same impact of a chorus that relationships with Young Thug does. The way that it'll have this pre-chorus with no drums like that, and then they'll just hit, bringing everything together, stuff like this. Yeah, I like how Future carries himself over this song too. It's very Future. You know what I mean? To me personally, it's very Future. It's definitely an underrated cut. But then you do have songs like Codeine Crazy, who deserve, you know what I mean, that type of love. And it's definitely the best, objectively, it's the best Future song. But for me personally, remember the keyword, promise you that it sticks with me better. Which is here's a weird cut to be in my top 22. And actually my top 20 at this point. We have Never Had a Dream Come True by S Club 7. Which is nobody's but your auntie's favorite song. You know what I mean? But like the auntie that'll listen to Take That, stuff like this. It's actually a Christmas song, realistically. But it's here. It's definitely not my favorite Christmas song, but it's here. For my personal favorite songs of all time. Me personally, S Club 7. S Club 7. Because the song was a ballad. It'll have the R&B production, but like I'm talking when they was doing instruments mixed with what did that? The drum machines. I'll say just to be safe, the drum machines and keyboards that will plug into the computers. And during this time, you can tell it's definitely drum machine over live drums. So I have that this specific era, this feel of what rhythm and blues was, but it is a bit mainstream, and definitely was to be commercial. However, when I was younger, it was one of my first favorite songs ever because it was like the one that I could understand. You know what I mean? It's right next to Big Fish, Little Fish, Cardboard Box. But as I've got older and understand how music should actually be, S Club 7 has made this list for me personally. For the feel of nostalgia it'll give me off rip. The chorus, you know, everything is R&B, but it is commercial. And it does enough. You know what I mean? Like with the bridge, the last chorus, the way that they bring that in. So of course it does enough for me personally. Wild songs I have in this list, especially with all the other songs that's around it, because the next song is actually Kevin Todd by J. Cole, which is more of a authentic, genuine song, which is the reason that it ended up above this. But also it's Big Chris guitar sample. The different type of sections like refrains, the repetition that J. Cole will use just as, you know what I mean, like what 2018 hip hop was. Even though he was very critical of young artists coming from this era, like the Lil Pump, who's voting for Trump now, and maybe he was right, but you know, it's very hypocritical in a sense, but it did actually end up working well. He was keeping that repetition while also, you know, like writing something down. So keeping true to his rhythm and poetry ideas, just putting in the hip hop term, just putting in the hip hop reference point, I would say. But he's got all type of sections, bro. Like when he goes from where he is being repetition in the his rap parts, and then he'll go into these melodies, and everything will just stick into your head. And a deep line is like, "What's done in the dark will always find a way to shine. I done did so much that when you see, you might go blind." That's a wild way to end the song, but very tough. I don't think that. I think the worst thing that J Cole probably ever did was write Grippy, but you know what I mean. I don't think we've gone blind. Oh no, it might be like his apology and then releasing Grippy. Worst idea to ever do, as one of the best to ever do it. Like, what was you thinking? I apologize in a rap beef, and now I'm releasing Grippy. That is the worst thing to ever do. No disrespect. Kevin Hart, one of the greatest songs of all time. Of course, Kevin Hart being one of my actual like idols. You know what I mean? From a young age too. I'd just be like obsessed with watching the stand-up comedies, his interviews, stuff like this. Just getting into, you know what I mean, learning how to craft who I really am as a person. But that's not what the song did. It's what Kevin Hart did. What the song did was put me into a perspective of maybe minimalistic is the best way to go, as long as you can get real feel. You will see like along the list, there's no real like experimental or industrial hip hop songs. I prefer to be minimalistic, but there will be songs near the top that will show me differently. A great example of what I'm saying by minimalistic is Grateful by Mahalia at number 17. I was fortunate to see Mahalia at Part Life in 2022. However, I don't think I was fortunate enough where she did the song. Doesn't actually have any answers for that. I think we had What You Did, but which was my favorite Mahalia song for a while, and then I got even further into R&B and appreciate Grateful a lot more. As I said, minimalistic. It doesn't require your attention, but it will definitely get it. It'll open up with, a fair intro that doesn't really overstay its welcome, but also introduce the song right away. You know what I mean? I think the best example you'll get from what you're gonna get from the rest of the song is when the drums actually come in. You'll have the kick and then the clap, and then you understand everything around it, what this is about to be. You'll have a guitar solo in there too. Just like the synth bass, it's like soul trap soul. That there's really no mistakes to be made, which is what makes it so flawless. You know what I mean? The music video is very quirky too. It's a weird word to use, but for like what British, like we're talking about where I'm from now, British, what the British scene of pop music or stuff, like just R&B, whatever's commercial over here, especially for an alternate vibe, you're gonna get something weird like this. And Mahalia carries it well in this music video for Grateful. It seems like they didn't even need a budget in that video too. It's just wherever they was, they recorded, and they happened to just have a great camera. I think I said guitar solo, but I mean guitar lead. Apart from that, like it's, you know what I mean? It's a great song. Ended up on this list for me personally. I know the song doesn't try to do so much without doing so little, man. The same could be said for the song Sandman by A$AP Rocky. And I think if anything, the way that Sandman will get you hooked at first is that what A$AP Rocky is actually saying. Record an album with Mercedes, let you QEQ it. I think, like bars that would be elegant, alien, and just like a flex, effortless flex. Like he didn't even have an album with Mercedes Let GQ it, but the way he'll make you think like he did, you know what I mean? it's a fantasy flex, they will call that there. But it speaks for how elegant that A$AP Rocky will carry himself, especially being the face of fashion in hip hop. No challenge. That's just how it is, you know what I mean? But like production from Clance Casino, the best cloud rapper production of all time, which is evident from this song too, making the song feel like it's at the end of the well, but A$AP Rocky is just living on top of it. especially at the ending with that sample I think from Peaky Blinders, where it's like this like haunting, pitched up, a few semitones or octaves, like really in your ear too. You don't want to skip the song because of how the ending will make you feel just from that sample alone. And that's what Clem Casino is as a producer. The chorus is definitely fire too. Having that melodic, like not afraid to hit high notes. You know what I mean? Like A$AP Rocky's never been afraid to be weird, but he's too cool to be seen as weird. No glaze, no glaze. It's just that when you're at your best, like the song we have at number 15, it's hard to be looked at in any certain way. I mean, obviously there's a, you know what I mean? But it was a good segue nonetheless. But at your best by Aaliyah. You know, the Isley's cover. The Isley song is objectively better. Let's not get confused. But I feel this song was actually at my number one replayed song for at least 2 years in a row too. I got into it in 2022, I believe, and that's when it hit the top of the list. And then 2023 the same, but didn't manage to hit my 2024 list. And I feel that's out of, overplayed. While it was sitting at the top of this list for like personal favorite songs of all time for a while during like the 2022 2023, I thought that it generally was my favorite song. But opinions change. The song is still great, so I did have to hit this list somewhere. It's the type of song that did reduce my stress in 2022 when I had purchased £200 festival tickets, and all I was hearing is they won't let you in, they won't let you in, they won't let you in because of my age. And then obviously, you know what I mean, there's too many people that did not let me in. We even brought our passports. That could have been the worst idea we ever did, but we ended up going there anyways. But yeah, it just reduced my stress for them times. And I feel like it will still contribute to that now. But when I'm just feeling regular, you know what I mean? The song just kind of goes over my head to where I'll miss the bridge quite a few times. Like, you'll get to the end of the song and I realize I did not feel the bridge at all. So you have to be really locked in for this song specifically. But like for right now, At Your Best by Aaliyah, it's one of my favorite songs of all time. It definitely was top 10, the top 3, stuff like this. But unfortunately, it did end up in top 15 because we do talk about the bridge. You know what I mean? It put me onto how to actually make a bridge like this. She was able to like call and response in her vocals. You know what I mean, very high vocals too. Which is what we're introduced to in the beginning, where a certain producer had chopped out the intro, the instrumental for that intro. Yeah. So I'm definitely still rocking with it, but I feel like I want to make a list like this again in 2020. Not even 2020. I'll talk about 2035 and see where we sit at it again. It depends, because that's 10 years from now. I don't know where YouTube's going to be by then. But that's what I would like to do. I don't know where I'll be, stuff like this, but I hope we make it, babe. For rich or poor, we won't be broke. But even if a colder made rich, remember me like this. Number 14, we have Remember Me by Jeremiah. Another song I was fortunate to see live, even when I was looking at the artist perform live there and then. You know, he did Birthday Sex, he did the songs he did with 50 Cent because it was 50 Cent's concert. But I even saw him see me, see him see me. Request that he plays the song at that event, specifically in that arena that day. And that's unfortunate that he saw it and didn't go with my request, because even though I was like the only person who asked for that, and it probably would have cut into time if he had. So on and so forth, blah 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 spliff. Another song like this, trap soul music can do so less without know what I mean? Like so any type of short attention span, getting lost. Which I know I definitely have. I definitely have a short attention span. Apparently from watching too much SpongeBob, as scientists said. But I noticed similarities too. I'll have the intro be opened, airy, but then be followed by the verses, having minimalistic drums and just like simple R&B chords, whether that be pads or like the chords and the guitar, just like Grateful and also this song has. It's crazy how similar them songs are, and I didn't catch up on. But the bridge for Remember Me never went over my head at all as well. If anything, it'll catch me back into the song. You know what I mean? If any type of attention has been darted, has been darted elsewhere. So it's great written. There's obviously awareness in how they was gonna write the song. It will require you to be locked in, to have your attention all the way. Great song, and I'll say an interesting pick, but I feel like there's more interesting picks on this list. Even ones that we've already spoke about, like S Club 7. There's another interesting. There's another interesting pick, and I hope you stay with me now. Because at 13, we got Stay by The Temptations. And when I say The Temptations, I mean barely The Temptations. Like, not even any of The Temptations. This is the 90s remix on My Girl, which My Girl is objectively like one of the best songs of all time, but Stay, I feel having it be so obscure, in a sense, like nobody was telling me to go listen to this song. It just came to me when I was going through all this like all of the Temptations catalog, because of how much like My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg, you know what I mean, stuff like this would have me hooked in times where I was trying to find my identity, stuff like this. But I was like, in that phase, I would be so locked in on music that I would constantly, even now, I would always have my headphones on, making brackets of like, let's do 128 songs versus 128 songs and see how long it takes to finish this list. Just on my personal time, personally. It definitely has like old soul. I wouldn't even say 90s kind of old soul as well. I'd say even like, let's say 70s to like late 60s, early 70s. Which they did have one of the newer members when it was time to treat her like a lady. They had one of the newer members from them times over into later in the Temptations, whatever was going on at the end of the run. The harmonies are so hard though. I feel like most of the times where I'm locked in on the song is when the harmonies come in, like, yo, do you believe? You know what I mean? And then they'll have that, like, I feel alto, I want to say. Alto singer over the top as like a call and response. Chorus hard. The ending where it's like, stay. It was a lot better than that, given, you know what I mean, they were signed by the Temptations. It would have like a Boys to Men. I don't know if this was something that Boys to Men only did. You know what I mean? Where they would have the baritone, deep voice guy singing or like just talking to bring back the chorus. I don't know who started that or when that started. I didn't do my history on it, or my research on it. But it felt like what Boys to Men were doing in End of Road. Great song. You know what I mean? I'm definitely riding on this song. That's why it's so high. I don't know if I explained it well. I did the best that I could. It feels black and white. Do you want me to say that? It feels black and white in the sense of like synesthesia. And I don't even have that in the audio way. I have it in the flavor way. And I'm big boned, so that's funny. Haha. I really don't like cardboard. in every kind of way. At number 12, which is weird now because we have everything revealed. This is a therapy session, and it's also the best trap soul song to me personally. I don't see any others on this, so sorry for the spoiler. And number 12 is the last trap soul song we really have that's fully trap soul. Not the last R&B though. You know what I mean? If that's what floats in your boat, then ride the wave. As we've talked about call and responses, like majority of this video, I feel the guitar that they have as the main sound or like the main track will be like an octave down, where it's like the way that hair came in, like baby the sound of you, that like I'll never give up, stay here forever, you know what I mean? Where it's like the softest vocal, but then followed by a hard harmony. That's real R&B writing production, you know what I mean? I feel a lot of, I feel the best to me, best trap soul songs end up being just chords and guitar and interesting intros, if you want to say. Not trying to do too much, and also what's a key, like a key ingredient too, is these harmonies that'll just come out of nowhere. And I think the lack of hi hats and even cymbals, I want to say, will add to the way that they have their delivery and the cadence. They're just trying to ride with that bass and that snares coming in. You know what I mean? And then that's where all the stuff like the harmonies and the, give you all, V. That's what it's trying to bounce off of. I'm gonna try and keep my singing to myself. I'm gonna try that. But at number 11, we got 3500 by Travis Scott. I would say this was obscure, but I feel like a lot of people also have 3500 as their favorite Travis Scott song. And if it's not 3500, it's usually something like 90210. But 3500 is so 2015. Like with the way that they have this, just the bass, it'll be like this epic bass around the dubstep era. You know what I mean? That's what makes the chorus like stay with you or hit you in a certain way. You know what I mean? Everybody played their part. Like Travis being his own song, the chorus was hard. Like a lot of the lines will catch you. So again, one of these is the songs that don't require your attention. One of these songs that don't require you to be fully locked in to have your attention. It will just have it automatically. I feel like it's a great reference point to have if you're trying to write trap songs in the sense of that chorus or the way that they're written or like just punched in the verses. You should always try and have a distinctive, you know what I mean? I say distinctive, but 3500 and No Type by Ray Sherman kind of have that same feeling. The chorus, just 3500 is more distorted. Future having the refrains, ain't nobody chiller than me, ain't nobody chiller than Scott, ain't nobody chiller, I'm taking this butt. Also showing emotion. You know when like the Future really tries to put effort in, that his voice just sounds horrible, but you're really enjoying it. You know what I mean? That's Future fan. Me personally, I rock with that. You'll be like angry at the microphone. You know what I mean? You bitch. You know what I mean? You're standing there all dynamic and shit. And then he'll be like, alright, I'm over it. I'm on the red carpet. But I think the person with the quirkiest verse, hopefully this is a better word for it, but the best person with that type of verse that shows so much like personality is 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz is so underrated as a guy who will write verses. I think he's really up there with like a Lil Wayne and stuff like this for verses and features. He's talking about being born with a mean butt, drinking breast milk out of a lean cup, paraphernalia in his baby pictures. He's backstroking to his children's room because of how big his swimming pool is. Oh no, his bathtub? That's his bathtub? Never mind you, his swimming pool. He's able to swim in his bathtub. Most of us can't even get in the bath without overflowing, bro. Metro Boomin, greatest producer, like Probably one of the best top 10 Mount Rushmore. Let's not play ourselves. Mount Rushmore producers in rap history. Stop it. Stop it, bro. Don't even try and like say, but this person, this person, this person, they might be on the list too. But don't try and say that Metro Boomin is not a Mount Rushmore uh, hip hop producers of all time, bro. Stop it. It's too late to do that now. He's already here. You're done. You're coming right with me. Yeah, you've actually got so many producers on here. I don't take back the Metro Boomin statement, but you've got Mike Dean, Travis Scott, Mano, Zaytoven because of that piano outro, and Alan Ritter. Okay. Now, if you was mad about that take at all, which would be weird if you was, because we're in a generation that probably knows that Metro Boomin is on the Mount Rushmore of hip hop producers of all time. Um, if that offended you, let's talk about a great rhythm and poetry. Something I put at number one for the list objectively, but for me personally, just enters the top 10, and that is the Art of Storytelling Part 1 by OutKast. Now, I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I looked up on whosampled.com looking for the samples that they've used to make this weird wah, 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 like Baby Go Cry. I looked that up on Who Sampled, but it just came up with nothing. So I don't know if there's literally no samples and they made that. Of course, like obviously being the producers, not OutKast themselves. Like that was originally made for that song, or Who Sampled just haven't picked up on the sample yet. The drums are crazy. I feel like Atlanta in the regional time of hip hop, where East Coast was East Coast, where there would beef with the West Coast, and then obviously you'd have like South, you know, where Atlanta is. Everybody always had their distinct sounds, and I know that's like very old headed, but it's also true. And I feel Atlanta not having to, or even probably hearing a lot of the songs coming from West Coast and East Coast, which I feel that could be very debatable. They probably was the songs that was topping the radio for hip hop radio, especially at the times in New York and California. But I feel Outkast never really had to go by any rules, and this is why you have the triplets. This is why he probably invented these type of triplets that you would get from Atlanta rap these days. Where you'll get them from the Migos and stuff like this. They would never feel under pressure of trying to stay on beat as long as they could be there enough, be on pocket enough. Which created some of the zaniest flows with real storytelling and poetry. So like one of the best rhythm and poetry songs of all time. Definitely the best OutKast song of all time too. Of course it's catchy too, so everybody can get involved if they wanted to. It's like a party song still, like OutKast do best. However, very in depth. Speaking of Atlanta rap, we got quite a few. I didn't even notice this too, but the way I'm trying to segue during this video, I'm noticing a lot. So here's like the Atlanta section, I guess. Here comes number 9, T-shirt by Migos. And don't try and like hate on me because the keyword is personal. I mean, type it in the comments so you remember personal. But T-shirt by the Migos, I do have it over the Art of Storytelling Part 1 by OutKast. Given how locked in, like not even having to be locked in, but how much attention I give it from the start to end. One of my I think OutKast is the best rap group of all time, but Migos for me is second. Given catalog. Remember personally now, don't do too much. But that cadence for like the dun 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 dun, that actually lasted like near enough the whole song. And you'd think that that would get too repetitive. And it might for you. I don't know what you're into. But for me, I found that so ill because I've not heard the song do any type of trap flow like that. And I feel like for me, this is the biggest reference point for a trap flow. The chemistry that the Migos would have, given that they are actually real family too. They'll know each other in like personal, in a very close and personal way. But where Takeoff would do his verse, but Quavo was doing his ad libs, and then it's just very hard. To me, it's hard. I feel like the music video was tough too. It got me into really wanting to wear sunglasses. However, those type of sunglasses that Offset was actually wearing in the video are very outdated now. And I was gonna actually wear them. I did actually have a pair of plastic ones that I used to wear like after Takeoff had passed away. And then from that point though, I still wear sunglasses. Just this time, I wear real sunglasses, like Carrera type of sunglasses. But it'll be stuff like this. Like hip hop is based off of, I believe, 4 different pillars. If you want to talk like this, but you've got like the DJing, the MCing, you've got the graffiti that doesn't really go too well now because everybody just spray paints sticks on bathrooms wall. This is a whole different topic, but literally like I don't know how graffiti went from something personal to homophobic people trying to come out the closet. You know what I mean? If it's what it feels like. Like, this is my truth. And if that's your truth, keep it to yourself. And or just be proud of it. Just don't spray paint it on walls in towns. You know what I mean? It's very weird. It does not make you look thuggy. It makes you look, you know what I mean, a certain way. But another pillar of hip hop is fashion, and this music video does it so well because you've got like the various coats you'll ever see. The sunglasses, bro, the designer that they'll wear, the chains that they have, the jewelry overall. It's like just like very ill, and they're all matching each other's energy off of that alone. And I feel people got confused during this time where people were favoring lyrics a lot less, but the way that Quavo is actually said it on the Culture album, you talk about modern day rap but don't know the culture, and the fashion part is so big on the culture that Migos being able to do it so well, especially in this video, makes it stick with me and like put a very huge like and put a decent reference point in my head of what to do when I want to try and put hip hop. I want to try and put my own type of fashion into hip hop. Then again, I've tried that, and you said, what am I wearing? So I don't know if I could keep doing that or try something else. And just above that, another Atlanta rapper, we have Daddy's Birthday by Young Thug, which I've not actually seen a video for, so I can't go into depth about that. But what I can go into depth about is this is very minimalistic production. It's a trap artist over this as well, so it's not trap soul, but it'll have the feeling of trap soul production with Young Thug as the artist who has taken this beat. And being able to be like one of these artists who also value hip hop more than rhythm and poetry, or cater to hip hop more than rhythm and poetry. Being able to brand himself, even like his own deliveries where he will strain his voice or go a deeper tone, which influenced another artist just above him in this list as well. I think the chords are so tough too, like the dun 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 dun. Like it's not asking you to, it's not trying to do too much. It's not making you think at all, low-key. And I think the song does it so well. Everything that Young Thug is known for is on this song as well. So it's like it's not the most Young Thug song, but it is a very like, it's so Young Thug. I don't know what the best example of a Young Thug song is. I would say something along the lines of Digits or something from that era, but Daddy's Birthday is one of my personal favorite songs of all time. And I feel like it's very obvious why. Given the songs that I've already put here, the type of production it has, the way that Young Thug is carrying himself, all this and all that. And ATL rap is awesome rap. I think this might be the... No, there's one more, but we've already talked about this artist. This is in a group sense. But this is Playboy Carti, R.I.P. It gives off so much energy. It's a statement to. It was a very big statement to drop this type of song, in the time of where people hated mumble rap. Like people was calling mumble rap mumble rap. We don't even call that anymore. Like it's a dead term. And the people that was calling it mumble rap usually did look like Crip. No disrespect to Crip. You know what I mean? I was definitely watching Crip back then as well. And obviously, one of the reason I bring that up is the line, uh, where he's like responding for that mumbling shit, but a crib for my mama off of that mumbling shit, explaining how much success he got off of what people was calling mumble rap, in a braggadocious way, but in a sense that's also inspiring too. Those are like I'm not also the trying to disrespect like the old heads too. You know what I mean? Because there's gonna be a few more placements above this, where I do have like one more old school rap song. But for now, we got a few from my generation. It's like especially the time where I was like really growing up, before I was even considered an adult. The songs I was listening to like R&B by Playboy Carti, um, which also has this Jodeci sample. So Pierre Bourne's production was very creative and very notable for this time, where he was producing songs like R&B and EA. I woke up like this beforehand too. But I think this is like one of the best trap songs to ever exist. And I would put it in a top 25 list or top 50 for objectively the best hip hop songs of all time too. And there's a lot of hip hop songs. So I say top 25. I would just to be that guy. But one that I would also follow that list as well is 20 Minutes by Lil Uzi Vert. And I think Honorable Sino is such a crazy producer that's able to put sounds, like the way he layers his tracks, where he'll have synth and then the bass and another sound that'll complement or shape the sound of the main synth sound that you would hear. From his history as a sound engineer, or his history of sound engineering, where he's produced songs like Dark Knight Dummo and 20 Minutes, which would be like the best example of these type of songs or of his production. Uzi's tone of voice is actually a great choice for an artist to take this type of production to, and I enjoy the way that he has his cadence, where it'll sound like he's building up and then falling back down. You heard this better in the chorus. And for a song that takes up 3 minutes of time, doesn't really go anywhere dynamically, and still being able to have your full attention, like from start to end, as I've said about other songs on this list, just based off the pure energy that it's given. Even with lines like, he bought his he bought somebody a DeLorean. He's putting coats on top of his coats, which people was actually doing. I remember seeing Rolling Loud performances like that, like Lil Mosey was doing it. Right now, just thinking of coats on top of coats and the heat that I'm feeling right now is nearly making me pass out. But it's also very hip hop, as we said about the type of what we were seeing in the Migos t-shirt video. And speaking of the Migos, one last the song that's taking me into the top 5 is a disbanded member for the time. Well, like when they went into, not disbanded, but when they went to do their own solo artist albums. The best example for who had the best songs at that time happens to be Takeoff, with songs like Insomnia, Last Memory, and the song that sits at number 5 being Casper, which of course, as you can tell what I'm about to say, it's very minimalistic. It's very, I want to say pimp, because every time I hear a rapper talking like this with just a relaxed, you know what I mean, like the way that people see the way that people see Duke Dennis right now, they're very nonchalant. Is the word that the kids are using today. But I'm talking about like Takeoff. Like I've been listening to this song since I was about 13. I think it came out around them times too. So I was just listening to like what the biggest rap songs were. And this was big for a time because it's part of the Migos, you know what I mean? Migos, as I said, is one of the best rap groups of all time, or at least the best hip hop group of all time. See what I did there? There was a change of words. Don't try to play me. Okay? There was a change of words personally. Um, there was a change of words intentionally. And I think what the song does, of course, is be minimalistic, be nonchalant, and still like Takeoff, especially was one of the Offset too, was one of the best, and Quavo and everybody else that was in the room. Um, but Takeoff was able to just like play with syllables so hard, like he was being able to like, I could beat you running backwards. For you would have seen Casper, you know what I mean? The best example of what Takeoff has said is like, we the one who came up with the bando. And I think if you're able to pull something like that off, like I want to do that so bad in my own music, but I cannot do it without being fake. Like just trying to find the words and being able to do that, like a technique like that, and not be fake or like just genuine. It's a real skill. It's right, definitely real skill. That's what sits it up at like top five as well. Just being able to be creative with your flows in that sense, like what you would see Casper, yeah. And then just falling back like bad bitch, small waist, pretty face. You know what I mean? They still being able to go back to the basics in a sense for trap music. Now the flute, I would say the flute didn't age well, but it does find itself mixed in where it's not all the way in your face. You know what I mean? Or in your ears, of course. I don't know how a flute can't age well, but it was the popular thing to do. Like you tear it on Portland, and then again Portland is a hard song too, which features Quavo. But Casper by Takeoff is in my top five, for all the reasons I've given, for it to be in my top five. And as I said, when I try to be disrespectful, I live all decades of when they was going to hat stores today to buy themselves a hat, all the way to that one SNL skit with Pete Davidson and Timothy Chalamet. You know what I mean? I got live for all decades of hip hop, all 50 years, all 5 decades. I think it's 54 years now. So like in between them times, you would have from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, from the Kung Fu Panda, African Bambata. We fast forward a little bit, you got Rakim and Eric B, NWA, and then eventually you have the Wu-Tang Clan. Objectively, one of the best rap songs of all time. Objectively, one of the best rap groups of all time. Cream, one of the best rap songs of all time, if I've not said that already. And definitely one of the best rap albums of all time, where they come off of Enter the Wu-Tang Clan 36 Chambers, an album I have on wax. So it has like this low-fidelic aesthetic that it's not trying to go for, but still gives, just due to the way that they used to sample. And then the hardcore lyricism, a little bit of gangster rap that came from the East Coast, so it's boom bap in a sense too. Everybody contributed so hard to. I think I want to say Raekwon had a verse. I think Inspector Deck might be the person on the second verse. And if I've got that right off the cuff, you know what I mean? It shows that I'm definitely passionate about hip hop. So I'm not a white boy mucking this shit, and I'm not mad at you, but I will have to look this up. In the intro, you've got Raekwon and Method Man. Verse 1 I said was Raekwon, and that's right. The verse 2 I said is Red the Deck, and that's right. You know what I mean? Chorus is Method Man. That's actually one of the best, like, definitely the best rap group songs of all time. It was Cream by Wu-Tang Clan. Because everybody just so collaborative as well. Even ODB's ended up in the background with his... Oh no, yeah, in the video. It's very evident that it is Old Dirty Bastard. But I don't think, or I don't know if the vocals that we hear in the official song, the official release, was ODB or not. And I assume that it is, but it could be a sample. But talking about the production from RZA, the keys hit the drums, like they bounce off the drums. I don't know if that was intentional or just the way that it came off because it wasn't, like quantized. Definitely one of the best songs of all time to me personally. And, I mean, like, now I'm about to confuse you from, because as we've talked about the top 10 being The Art of Storytelling Power by OutKast, number 9 being T-Shirt by Amigos, 8 being Daddy's Birthday by Young Thug, 7 being R.I.P. by Playboi Carti, 20 Minutes by Lil Uzi Vert at number 6, number 5 being Casper by Takeoff, number 4 being Cream by Wu-Tang Clan, and number 3, the hardest hitting song of all time, Never Be the Same by Camila Cabello. Now this gangster rap song, produced by Billie Eilish's sister, the song produced by Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother. The big contribution to why Billie Eilish sounds so good too, has took his skills to Camila Cabello and laid it down on a track so like alternative but still mainstream because of who it is. Very passionate, very psychedelic in a sense too. I think I do have a couple weird cuts like never had a dream come true by S7 all the way to now where we're talking about top 3 being Never Be the Same by Camila Cabello. I mean, the top 2 will save it if you're looking at me weird now, but it's a psychedelic production that Phineas is able to do. You know what I mean? I think Phineas is one of the hardest, like, mainstream producers for pop music. Definitely one of the most creative too. And being able to take your real ideas into a mainstream setting without having to like tone it down or anything like this, and if anything you're able to just like go fully in to what you're into, I think makes Phineas one of the best producers for now. You know what I mean? Like for this time era, especially like 2010s when he was producing the albums for Billie Eilish. And I think Camila Cabello is also was not afraid to get weird too. The way that she was doing her high pitched vocals for the pre-chorus, belting the vocals out for the chorus, which actually is the reason that it stuck to me emotionally somehow. The bridge is hard too. I think it does have a bit of nostalgia play into it, given the fact that I am 19 and this song would have came out in 2018. I would have been 13. So, like, looking back, you know what I mean? From young teenager to early adult. This song has been one of the best songs I've ever heard for me personally. And it feels weird to being on the list, but then again, S7 also made the list. Let's not forget about this. And it's also, me personally, type that down in the comments so you don't forget that this list is personal. And also don't take it personal. Alright, so number 2, I think it saves me from looking a certain type of way. I don't know what type of way that would be, but number 2 is I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston. And I mean musically is what I'm saying. I feel like having songs like Never Be the Same and S7 would make it look like I don't have a diploma in music technology when I was studying rap. As I said in Batman, go listen to Batman by me, but also don't listen to something better. You know what I mean? You can do whatever you want to do. And just like I can have Whitney Houston at number two. I think this was also a song that I was expecting to be at number one. That I was so like certain that it would just hit. I wrote this list down first. Number one, whatever the two dashes, like the two dots on top of each other is. Whitney Houston, I Have Nothing was like definitely a song that was going to be on this list regardless. And the song above it actually blew my mind that it was my favorite song of all time. But talking about Whitney Houston, I Have Nothing, we got the 3/4 time signature. We got like, it was for a movie, so it's well produced, especially for a movie like that was in the decade of trying, you know what I mean, without being too commercial. Like you'll have Fast and Furious X. You just got like all type of sounds to it. I think there was an oboe and not an oboe, but a bassoon or a clarinet or a clarinet, like a real like woodwind instrument in there, like that we weird to the ears of nowadays. There wasn't really a hard hitting snare until the choruses, because for the verses you will have like the rim shots and then the tambourine, which a lot of R&B production did. You'll have the percussion hit and then the tambourine. So if you're a producer that's into R&B in any type of way and you want to learn, I've even done this on my own songs. Like it's kind of crazy that I did it on a song that I was trying to be like Playboy Carti on. Which is Jeff, which is probably a better song than Batman. So yeah, it's definitely well written. Of course, Whitney Houston didn't write it herself, I wouldn't believe, given the movie that I watched. But definitely sung it. She definitely sung it. That's what I do now. Passionately too. Like she was really feeling it. Yeah, that song's hard. I was actually surprised that it didn't sit at number one. But what did? At number one, we've got The Other Side of the Game by Erykah Badu. Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand it, but now I understand that it is neo soul. And what really stuck with me but what made the song stay with, but what made the song stay with me? I think just the feel. I don't even know. Like I know that there's roads and chords. You know, the R&B chords that I'm so like passionate about. Um, the fact that it is minimalistic, it's not trying to do too much. It has these instruments that will come in, like the brass or something like this. Like if it trumpets came in, harmonies, well, like just in the background as an ad lib, but also like to cater to the instrumental too. And I didn't even think about how deep the lyric where she was saying, "Do I really want my baby?" is, because I was thinking it's like an R&B love story, and now I've like got the perspective that it's actually about an abortion. That's from the perspective. I don't actually know what she was really going for, but that's what it feels like. It definitely inspired me as a producer too. Like the song itself, but inspired me to make "Don't Expect Me to Be Social." Like the way that instrumental came off, or the beat I've made for "Don't Expect Me to Be Social," my personal way. Yeah, that's just like a rhythm and poetry feel. Being from the 90s, you know what I mean? But it's also sung over neo soul production. So it's weird. It's like, I think the word is it's very pimp, but also not really. It feels like an emotional breakdown that they're not crying over. That's just poetic. That's just poetic in the sense, but I just said right there, man. I think you should subscribe for reasons like that. Now that I've noticed, a lot of the R&B songs that I've chose always have some type of introduction that's different in a sense from the actual song, but Other Side of the Game just gives you all the instruments that are genuinely in the song, like the bass and the rim shots and stuff like this, dingy dingy. Like she never puts too much power into her voice if it's not necessary, and it feels like we are getting built up. It feels like we are in the build up to when that moments do happen. And overall, That's my favorite song of all time. Let me know what you think of this list too. Like all 22 songs. Like what is the weirdest song that I have on here? What is the song that you would expect for me to have on here? What do you think my favorite artist is? Um, what is like what's your top 5? Don't do top 22 because you're gonna be in my comment section for too long. Just like the top 5 that you definitely don't even have it in an order, just the 5 songs that you care about enough to comment it down. And that is the end of this video. That is my personal, write it down in the comments, personal. The favorite songs of all time. We've gone from Fleetwood Mac to Future to Aaliyah to OutKast to Takeoff to Camila Cabello to number 1, Erykah Badu. And that's me, that's Colin, that's out, that's like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gone.